Video games and teenagers. Playing video games for incredibly long hours tends to adversely affect the social behavior of an individual as well. Excessive gaming can develop certain traits which may have negative effects on an individual's all-around development. Social isolation can be an immediate consequence of continuous and ceaseless gaming. People, especially children, tend to spend less time with their friends and others because they want to get back home gaming place as fast as possible and continue playing. This makes them aloof from others and so in the long run lack abilities of social communication and develop a kind of anthropophobia, fear of human company. Children and teenagers may face confusion about reality and fiction. Due to the fact that addiction to video games may hamper their social life, the scope for them to mingle with other people and to experience the realities of the world becomes very limited. The consequence is that they end up believing that the real world is similar to the virtual world of the game they have been playing and hence behave and interact in the same way as they do during gaming. Content matter is a phrase that is very apt when it comes to the content that many video games possess. Numerous video games which are supposedly meant especially for kids have violent content wherein aspects such as aggression and revenge are rewarded. These things make a deep impact on children's minds and they tend to judge people and society, on the whole, in a similar light. In the long run, this can turn them into aggressive and violent individuals who are often very reluctantly accepted by society. One of the biggest negative effects of video games can lead you to struggle with regulating your emotions properly. People diagnosed with internet gaming disorder are more likely to be aggressive, depressed, and anxious. The main mechanism that leads to those comorbidities is their inability to regulate and control their emotions, such as anger, sadness, fear, or other emotions. That's because video games are often seen as a way of escaping your emotions. As a result, many gamers, especially young gamers and teenagers, play video games because they may have underlying negative emotions. However, video games don't solve their problem and temporarily numb those negative emotions. On the contrary, playing video games excessively will make those emotions even more intense, especially if you play video games every day for several hours. When you have good control over your emotions, you can control your actions better by controlling your emotional state. Excessive game time can cause you to develop skill deficits, such as regulating your emotions. Playing video games in excess is also responsible for lack of motivation. This happens because video games address many of the needs that you would satisfy with other activities such as hobbies. For example, video games allow you to progress and level up your skills, which is one of the core needs of human existence. Furthermore, video games also allow you to stay social, get creative, and get immersed as they act as this massive time sink. Social anxiety is another common comorbidity to video game addiction, so video games might be responsible for your social anxiety. If you think about it, it makes sense. The more you play video games, the more you lose contact with your real-life friends, which can, in turn, lead to experiencing more social anxiety. But the same can be said about social anxiety, as can be told about depression. Many people turn to video games because they are socially anxious and struggle with physical world friendships. Games offer them an escape from real life, plus, they can socialize with people online with little to no risk. And when they do that, they start neglecting real-life relationships, worsening their existing social anxiety. And that's not a good place to be. If you rely on video games and online platforms for socializing, you lose out on the many benefits of having friends in real life. You don't get to have adventures that you might have in your life, you don't meet new people, and even if you do, the relationship. Depression is one of the most common comorbidities that gamers have. Up to 89% of problem gamers are also diagnosed with depression, in addition to video game addiction. Many gamers we work with develop depression because of their gaming habits. As they start playing video games more and more, they begin to neglect other aspects of their lives. For example, they don't have as many social relationships and ignore healthy habits such as exercise and diet. All of that can make you depressed or worse. Repetitive stress injuries or overuse injuries are injuries that come from activities that involve repeated use of muscles and tendons to the point that pain and inflammation develop. If these injuries are allowed to progress, numbness and weakness can develop and permanent injury can result. Overuse injuries of the hands and arms are rampant among gamers. One common example is carpal tunnel syndrome, which many gamers develop. Carpal tunnel syndrome, often seen in office workers, involves inflammation of a nerve in the wrist, which causes pain and numbness. Gaming is also associated with obesity in teens and, plausibly, the same would be shown in adults, if studied. This is due to the obvious phenomenon that if a teen is sitting in front of a screen for hours every day, he or she isn't getting much exercise. The obesity is also thought to be due to increased food intake while playing video games. Vision problems are common complaints of gamers. The most common vision problem is eye strain, which can lead to headache. Thank you.